someone who is not exactly a supporter of the president's agenda, who a couple days after this first conversation took place refused to uphold a lawful order of the president's, who's not exactly someone that was excited about President Trump taking office or his agenda. She had been, hold on, Caitlin, hold on, no, Caitlin, let me answer the question. She had come here, given a heads up, told us there were materials, and at the same time, we did what we should do. Just because someone comes in and gives you a heads up about something and says, I want to share some information, it doesn't mean that you immediately jump the gun and go take an action. I think if you flip this scenario and say, what if we had just dismissed somebody because a political opponent of the president had made an utterance, you would argue that it was pretty irrational to act in that manner. We did what we were supposed to do. The president made ultimately the right decision.
What you see happening by Sean Spicer in this clip is him projecting the attitudes of the Trump administration onto Sally Yates. Because he's essentially saying, look, this person was a political opponent, was someone who worked for Obama. So clearly, this person was only acting to try and undermine our administration, try and undermine our agenda, and undermine one of our allies, who at the time was Mike Flynn. And the reason he thinks that way is because that's how they would act. That's how Trump and his administration would act. That's exactly what they would do. But the problem is that's not what Sally Yates did. At least there's no evidence to support that notion. It seems like she was acting as nonpartisan and nonpolitical as she reasonably could, and she saw something very concerning about Mike Flynn, and she reported that to the Office of Legal Counsel in order to allow them to take appropriate action. And then the White House failed to take that action until information became public and it became a controversy in the news media that they could no longer hide from. And Spicer does the same thing when he references Obama and Obama's warning that Trump should not hire Mike Flynn. Because it's come out now that Obama specifically told Donald Trump that he should not hire Mike Flynn when they had a meeting during the transition. But the reason Sean Spicer gives for Donald Trump not taking that seriously is, look, hey, Mike Flynn was an opponent of Obama. He criticized the way he was running the war on terror, the war against ISIS. So clearly, President Obama was only politically motivated and just didn't like Flynn, didn't agree with him, and wasn't actually trying to give a legitimate warning. But the problem is, again, there's no evidence of that, and as it comes out, Obama was right to warn Trump that Mike Flynn is not somebody you want to hire. And the same with Sally Yates as well. But again, you see Sean Spicer and the Trump administration more generally just projecting this extreme partisan political shift onto all of their opponents when there's no evidence that that's the case. And they at no point take a step back and question that assumption and think, hey, maybe there's more to this than just pure partisanship. And it's easy to do that if that's how you operate. If you operate in a purely partisan world, which many, many Republicans in Congress now do, and it seems very likely the Trump administration as well, you're going to assume that anyone who's not from your party who tells you something is just trying to forward their partisan agenda rather than actually giving you valuable information on things you should or shouldn't do. And it is very concerning to see that this is how the Trump administration thinks.